What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and break down how to get the new exotic raid ghost shell and all of the lore book pages for the Vow of Disciple raid in Witch Queen. And before you go anywhere, it is possible for all players to unlock the new exotic shell, and this can be done either in the raid or in the weekly preservation mission, including pretty easily by solo players, so I figured we'd jump in and break it down. As there's also a way to simplify the puzzle room in the raid, which is required in order to do this. And so I hope you guys find the video useful, and starting out, to get the raid ghost shell, we need to unlock all lore pages for the Vow of Disciple lore book, and these can be earned via collectibles in the preservation mission and via the puzzle room at the beginning of the raid, which of course is present in both the mission and the raid itself. On top of this though, there are 5 collectibles that we can grab at the end of preservation, and this will also give 5 of those pages, which we'll break down in a moment. But the other 5 pages, or indeed any of the pages from the lore book, can also be earned in the puzzle room at the pyramid. So to do this, either in the raid or the preservation mission, we need to get past the opening encounter, where we ride the floating thing through various areas and collect the orange spikes to power it up and continue. This bit of course takes a few minutes, but importantly it's very easy for solo players to get through this in the mission version, as there isn't a darkness zone, so it's purely a case of killing everything until it's done, and there aren't any penalties there. Once the pyramid has been reached and before proceeding all the way to the next encounter, there is a puzzle room, and there are a bunch of these nodes with different symbols on them, and whether we're in the raid or the mission version, we need to input a sequence in order to unlock a lore page. If you've done the raid, you'll understand at least a bit about the symbols here, but for folks who haven't done it, or just want to unlock the ghost shell, let's keep it really simple, and there is a reliable way to shortcut the sequences while missing one of the actions. So, to input a sequence in the puzzle room, we need to head through this small hole in the side of the room, and when we drop down, we see this series of icons, and these tell us what we need to input in the room upstairs. However, a lot of them aren't actually needed for this process, so looking at the symbols, we only get info about each of the sequences from the 6 icons marked here on the bottom 2 rows. And the 3 icons here represent different actions, so the 2 teardrop looking icons represent a melee action, and that literally refers to meleeing a node in the room above. And then the green prism icon represents interacting, which literally means interacting with a node in the room above. But in order to know which nodes we need to interact with upstairs, the 3 icons on the bottom left are the ones that need to be activated using those actions. And so the sequence here is literally telling us that we need to melee the icon with the Forsaken symbol, and we also need to melee the icon with the tower symbol, and then we need to interact with the icon that has the person with the black hole in their chest. And every time we do this sequence, the bottom 3 symbols will change, but the actions melee and interact will always stay the same. Of course, the symbols do have dedicated names. However, it isn't necessarily that useful for this particular puzzle. And there's one other thing to bear in mind with this information, and that's that we have to do these in a specific order. And it's always melee, interact, and then melee again. So for this example, I go upstairs and I melee the Forsaken symbol, then I interact with the Grieve symbol, which is the person with the black dot, and then finish by meleeing the tower symbol. And again, that's just because we need that melee, interact, and melee order. For the sake of clarity, another sequence here would include meleeing this symbol, followed by interacting with this symbol, and then finally meleeing this symbol. And every time we do this successfully, it will unlock a lore book page. And doing it that way also removes one of the symbols you actually have to shoot. Not sure if that's intended, but it also avoids some bugginess that you sometimes get with shooting the symbols. And to repeat this process, which we'll have to do a few times, in the raid, we can reset the puzzle room by going to the next encounter and wiping before backtracking to the puzzle room. However, in the mission version, there's no way to reset the puzzle without completing the mission again, so it will take multiple runs if doing it solo or in the mission version. But the mission version also has some collectible voice lines, and these will grant a lore page for each one that we find. Plus they come with some neat extra backstory for the raid, so worth listening to in full. And if you want to get all of those, we'll break down the locations here. So after completing the full preservation mission, there'll be one node that spawns next to the bosses at the very end. Of course, interacting with that will grant a lore page. Then we need to head back to the previous room, and up on one of the rooftops on the left-hand side, we can find the second node. The third one that we can grab is actually near the initial entrance to this room, so if we head all the way back to the opposite side, there's another rooftop where we can interact with one of these items. And for the final 2 that we find in this area, initially we need to head down into the room that has the red stop symbol, and that's literally a red square. And there's also another one down inside of the room that has the symbol with two kind of red hands and a downward facing triangle. Grabbing all of these nodes will grant 5 of the lore pages, and then we simply rely on completing the sequence in the preservation mission, or resetting it in the raid and completing all of the sequences. And so I thought it would be useful to break down a reliable way to do that. Let us know if you've picked up the ghost shell down in the comments section. It's definitely a pretty cool looking item, with very similar visuals to the raid armor, with all these cool moving parts. And of course the mission and the item grants folks an opportunity to kind of look at some of how the raid mechanics will work, as well as investigating the space and getting more of the lore and backstory. So it's a really cool piece of content that Bungie have introduced there, and let us know your thoughts about it down below. But if you found the video useful today guys, a rating down below really does help us out on the channel as well. Also feel free to get subscribed so I can keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise for today, thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys very soon.